darkness wraps around Anukai's chum like a living thing. At 4 a.m., when the thermometer reads minus 55 degrees Celsius, even breath becomes a weapon. Each exhalation crystallizing instantly into needle-sharp ice particles that hang suspended in the air. Inside the conical reindeer hide tent, frost has crept along the inner walls, despite the night fire's best efforts, creating intricate patterns that gleam in the dying ember light. Anukai's fingers, calloused from 60 winters of survival, emerge from beneath layers of reindeer fur. The cold attacks immediately, biting deep into joints already stiff with age. But there's no time for weakness. The fire has burned down to glowing coals. A dangerous situation when temperatures outside could kill an unprotected person in minutes. The old Evenki's first task is always the same: resurrect flame from near death. Around him, his wife Natalia and their grandson Dmitri remain cocooned in their sleeping furs, their breath visible even in the tent's relative warmth. The responsibility falls to him, as it has every morning for decades. Anukai's hands move with practiced precision. From a birch bark container sealed tight with resin, he extracts his most precious possessions: char cloth made from scorched cotton fabric, a nest of the finest dried birch bark fiber scraped paper thin, and shavings from a fatwood-rich pine knot, each piece selected and prepared during the brief summer months. But in this cold, even preparation isn't enough. The moisture in the air has permeated everything. His first attempt with the fire steel produces sparks that die before reaching the tinder. The second attempt, the same. Frost forms on his eyebrows as he leans close, his concentration absolute. He knows the old trick: body heat is precious fuel. Anukai tucks the tinder bundle against his chest, beneath his militsa, the thick reindeer fur coat worn hairside in. For 5 minutes, he lets his body heat drive out the invasive moisture while he prepares the structure. Tiny twigs from dwarf birch, each no thicker than a matchstick, arranged in a careful pyramid. Larger pieces of larch, their resin content high, waiting nearby. When he withdraws the tinder, it's barely warmer, but it's dry. His strike with the fire steel is decisive. Sparks cascade into the char cloth, and a tiny orange glow appears. Anukai doesn't blow on it, not yet. At these temperatures, his breath, despite being warm, carries too much moisture. Instead, he waves the char cloth gently, feeding it the freezing air in tiny doses. The glow spreads. He transfers it to the birch bark nest, still waving steadily. A thin thread of smoke rises, gray against the darkness. Only now does he risk a gentle, controlled breath. The smoke thickens. A flame, small as a candle, springs to life. The relief never gets old. Every morning, the same miracle. Every morning, the difference between life and death. He feeds the infant flame carefully, the dwarf birch twigs first, hearing them crackle and pop as trapped moisture escapes. The fire grows, and with it, the temperature inside the chum begins its slow climb toward survivable. Outside, the herd stirs. Reindeer, with their ancient partnership with the Evenki, seem to sense when the fire returns to life. Anukai can hear them moving, their breath creating clouds of steam that glow silver in the pre-dawn darkness. They've spent the night pawing through snow to reach the lichen beneath, but now they gather closer to the chum, seeking the marginal warmth of human presence. Dmitri emerges from his furs, his young face already hardening with the stoicism required for this life. At 16, he's learning the 10,000 skills needed to survive here. Together, grandfather and grandson prepare for the day's main challenge, moving the herd to new grazing grounds 12 kilometers distant. As dawn breaks, a pale, reluctant light that seems to barely penetrate the cold, the temperature drops even further, hitting minus 60 degrees Celsius. This is the cruel paradox of Siberian winter. Dawn often brings the day's coldest temperatures. The air becomes thick, almost syrupy. Sound travels differently here, sharp and brittle. Natalia has the tea boiling now, strong black tea that the Evenki drink with salt and reindeer fat, a concoction that delivers calories and warmth simultaneously. The fire, now robust and commanding, creates a sphere of survivability perhaps 3 meters in diameter. Beyond that sphere, the cold waits with infinite patience. But the Evenki do not simply survive, they live. Anukai checks his tools, The knife with its handle wrapped in reindeer sinew for grip, even in the coldest temperatures. The lassos for managing the herd. The carved wooden implements passed down through generations. Each object tells a story of adaptation, of humans learning to thrive where nature insists they should perish. The reindeer begin moving, and the Evenki follow, as they have for millennia. Human and animal in partnership, both dependent on the other, both masters of the frozen world. Behind them, the fire still burns in the chum, waiting for their return. Ahead lies another day in the coldest inhabited region on Earth, where the simple act of starting a fire remains the foundation of everything, of warmth, of food, of life itself.